This is a topic that's often quite controversial when I talk about it with clients, and often people get quite annoyed and even angry at me for suggesting this, particularly people who really love exercise. Because it's what we're always told, isn't it? If you want to lose weight, you just eat less and exercise more. That's the magic formula. Now, like all suggestions in weight loss, that could work for some people. I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'll tell you what I think. If you exercise, one of the impacts is that often you're hungrier. So if you expect yourself to eat less, which is going to make you hungrier potentially, and then you're going to exercise more, which will also make you hungrier, I'm not sure that's a really sustainable way to lose weight in the long term. You might be able to do it for a short amount of time, but being hungry is not something that most people can do in the long term. So I want you to really, if you're struggling with weight loss and your food is really good and you're someone who loves exercise, let me just talk this through a bit more and hopefully give you some points to think about in terms of what you're doing and maybe what you could change. For me, exercise worked brilliantly when I was in my early 20s. In fact, that's how I lost my 30 kilos, because I certainly didn't know much about nutrition. However, I started exercising and I really enjoyed going to the gym. Because I was young and I didn't have the responsibilities of a family, that became my routine, that I would finish work. I was living overseas and I finished work early. I'd go to the gym. Often I'd meet my friends there, then we'd go out for dinner. It became a real social thing and it was a lovely gym. And quite frankly, I just developed a real love of exercise. Then I started getting a bit fitter, losing weight, started running. So as well as my gym work, I wanted to do a half marathon. So I ended up doing several of those and doing those over, several years. Love running. So for me, exercise has been an essential part of my weight loss and also in terms of weight maintenance. But I've noticed a big difference with clients and even in a lot of the reading that I do, that exercise probably does work well for young people. We have a younger body. Our body is probably able to handle stress better. But what I've seen is that this changes for women when they get a bit older. Let's just say over the age of 35. And this is where I've actually seen quite regularly in clients that exercise does not help with fat loss. In fact, quite often it stops people from burning fat, which is really difficult for people to accept, especially when they're doing all this exercise and they're feeling great and the scales are not dropping. In fact, they're going up. And yes, you could argue that could be a short-term effect. Obviously, everybody is different, but I've seen many times that when people add an exercise, it doesn't actually help with fat loss. Now, let me just say, not for everybody. For some people, it does. But as a rule, from what I've seen in the last 10 years, that tends to be with younger people rather than older people. And it really comes down to stress. Exercise is a form of stress, especially intense exercise. Exercise that's coming, early in the morning, doing boot camps or RPM. That kind of thing, if you're a little bit older and possibly if it's leading to extra stress, that is not going to help you in fat burning, because if exercise is leading to increased cortisol, that may have the result of turning off fat burning. So it is going to be going against what you're hoping to achieve. So what I suggest is, like everything in this journey, keep monitoring what you're doing and looking at your results. If you're adding an exercise and it's helping you on the scales, well, of course, keep going. But if you're finding it's not helping, I just want you to be open-minded to the thought that perhaps exercise is not a good way for you to increase your fat burning potential. In fact, it could be harming you because of stress. And this is particularly possible if you're exercising early in the morning and you're not getting as much sleep, because sleep really is so important to fat burning and for stress management and for your overall energy levels. So look at your own journey and see how things are going. And if you're not seeing the results that you're hoping for, cut back a little bit on exercise and see if that helps. Remember, the most important thing you have to work with for fat loss is what you're eating, right? Because even if you're exercising 5 times a week, 6 times a week, you're still eating 35 times a week, maybe more. So it's the eating you've got to get right when you want to burn fat.